Hello everybody and welcome back. As you can probably tell, today is another cold, chilly, super rainy day. So I wanted to spend my time indoors crafting, but most importantly, I really want to test out and use my knitting machine a little bit more. As you guys have probably seen, I have been making a ton of beanies. I made some for my family for the holidays, and I want to step up my game. I want to level up a little bit and start making not only beanies, but paneled clothing, whether that's like cardigans, skirts, dresses, sweaters, what have you. So for all of those who are wondering, this is a 48 needle or 48 pin circular knitting machine. It just has a little turn handle right here. And other than that, it does have a row counter. So let's go ahead and introduce the yarns that I'm going to be using for today's really fun at-home project. Now, I purchased this yarn several months back because I did plan on knitting up either a skirt or a dress with this yarn. But now that I have the knitting machine, it's kind of perfect. It's going to save me a little bit of time. So this yarn that I'm going to be using is the Erin Skinny Cakes. And I believe that this cake is actually labeled as a number 3 lightweight DK yarn. To be honest, in my opinion, this is definitely a lot more like a sport weighted yarn. But something else I have learned and noticed with this knitting machine is the best weights of yarn that it functions the smoothest with are lightweight DKs and sport weight yarns. Of course, you can use worsted weight yarns and even like fingering weight with this, but the tension does start to get a little bit wacky, and the thicker yarn that you use, like a worsted or a chunky weight, the harder it is to turn, and you can also like break pins or needles. So I'm going to stick with this sport weight lightweight DK yarn. And then the secondary yarn that I wanted to whip up a quick little project just to start off this video. This is Big Twist Party, and it is a 100% acrylic fiber. I just really saw this on the shelf. I think it's brand new in stores, and this colorway is screaming my name. So before I jump into making either a skirt or a dress with the Erin Skinny Cakes, I'm gonna warm up my hands, warm up the machine a little bit, and I'm gonna make myself a rolled hem beanie because I have been obsessed. If you guys have been following me over on Instagram, I cannot stop wearing the little single layer rolled hem beanies. So we're just gonna cast on this bad boy, make something in like 30 minutes, and then jump into the big project. It's been about 10 minutes since I casted on the project, and I feel like this is a really good stopping point just to have like a quick little whip check-in. So this is what my piece is looking like at the moment, and this is honestly how it should be looking. As you can see, the tension is great all the way around. There's really no inconsistencies. So I only have about 15 or so more rows, and then this beanie is done. My little beanie is done. I think it's only been about 20 minutes, and I have a super cute little rolled hem beanie. These are honestly my absolute favorite. I think that they just look the most flattering on. This is cute. Ooh, I'm loving it. I could have added less rows, but you know what? For having used this yarn for the first time, I love this little effect. So now that I'm nice and cozy, it's time to go ahead and start crafting the second project. As I mentioned, I will be using this Erin Cakes to cast on. I think I want to make like a maxi skirt or a midi skirt. So I am going to have to knit separate panels and then sew them together at the very end. So that is my next task, is to cast on about 3/4 worth of the machine and then just start knitting back and forth in a panel version. I also made a really quick matcha because you guys know I have been on a matcha kick lately instead of iced coffee. So I'm trying my best to not over caffeinate my body. So the trick with making panels on the little knitting machine here is instead of knitting in the round, of course, we're going to be picking a point that we're starting at, working around and then stopping at a different point, and then just turning the work back and forth and back and forth. And as I also mentioned earlier, because this is a thinner sport weight DK weight yarn, I do want to put this on like the tightest tension possible. And if I need to, I will even hand hold the yarn to make sure that this is going to be as less see-through and visible as possible and as tight knit as I can get it. So I'm just going to go ahead, cast on about 3/4 worth of the machine, and then just start working back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And for all of those who are wondering, the way to cast on your yarn to the knitting machine is to simply wrap it in front and behind every single peg. So right here, I'm wrapping it in front, and then I'm gonna wrap it behind the peg as it pops up. And then on the next one, in front, behind, in front, behind, and then just repeat this over and over until you have on as many stitches as you would like. I just hit row 101, and so far this is what my panel is looking like. It shrank up a lot more than I was expecting, but at this point I've already committed. I'm at least going to finish this one up, and if I have to, I will cast on more stitches for the other panel. But look at this gorgeous color gradation. So far, I'm a huge fan of the Skinny Cakes. I think it's working up so gorgeous. Here's what the cake is looking like. I am starting to get through it, but I wanted to bring you guys in nice and close to show you how I work the edges of my panel, because it did take a little bit of trial and error to get it right. So I'm starting to come up here to the very last needle where my work is casted on, and the trick is I want to continue to turn my knob until the yarn falls underneath the peg to the right of my casted on needle. So it doesn't really matter how far you turn it, but what you want to do is make sure that you watch for this little needle to drop down, and then you want the yarn to slip over the peg to the right of it. So I'm going to continue to turn, keep turning, and then as you can see, the yarn drops right underneath that peg to the right. So I'm just going to pull on my yarn and give it a little bit of tension as I'm turning the corner. And now as we start to work backwards, that yarn is going to stay casted on. We're not dropping a stitch. And I'm going to continue to turn until I get to the other edge of my panel. And then here again, as you can see, this is the very last stitch or needle with my work casted on. I'm going to make sure that it picks that one up. The needle's dropping down. And again, I want that yarn to drop right over the knob to the left of that little needle. So keep turning, and as it drops down, I can go ahead, tug on my yarn, create a little bit more tension as I'm turning the corner, and then just simply work back and forth. I did it. I finished up the first panel, and this is what it's looking like. If you guys are knitters, then you know that when you knit in stockinette, you get a rolled hem effect, but the whole thing is like collapsing in on itself. So it kind of just looks like a cute little colorful scarf. But don't worry, that will be all fixed when I go to stitch everything together, and it will lie flat. But I will note the panel is a little bit thinner than I was expecting. So when I go ahead and start on the second panel right now, I will make sure to cast on several more stitches. But for what it's worth, I have been really enjoying using this machine. It's so fun, especially now that I'm learning how to make flat panels. I would love to kind of experiment around with the machine too, and try to see if I can like decrease stitches so I can make shapes like hexagons or trapezoids and triangles and whatnot. But for the time being, The panel looks amazing. There are no drop stitches. There's no funky tension. It's very consistent throughout the entire panel. So I would have to say so far, kudos to this machine. It's turning out so, so well. Look at these stitches. All right, so let's go ahead and start casting on the second panel, and I will update you guys as I'm going. I finally finished up the second panel. So they're not quite matching, but I kind of like how they're looking right now. They're just big, flat, tubular-ish flat panels. So at this point, I'm just gonna open them up as best as I can, place them right sides together, and then I'm just gonna use a good old-fashioned 5.0 millimeter, grab some more of that yarn, and just simply slip stitch the two panels together along both of the edges. But that's pretty much all that there is. I am a little bit concerned about the waist portion getting really stretched out every time I put it on and off. So I think the very last step is I will use my little I-cord knitting maker to make myself a little tie waist, and then the skirt should be done. All right, one side of the panel has been sewn together. I'm loving how this is looking. It's so lightweight, has a nice little flow. So I'm gonna go ahead and stitch up the other side. And for the final grand reveal of the maxi mini skirt, this is what I've created. I'm actually very pleasantly surprised, but as you guys saw earlier, with those two panels, one panel was a little bit larger than the other one, but honestly, when it's stretched over the body, you can't really tell that much of a difference. I might flip the skirt around just because it is a little bit wider in the back. But as I talked about earlier, I did use my little I-cord maker just to make a little tie for the belly portion. And then with any of like that leftover yarn, I kind of whipped up a really basic and simple like tube top. All right, I just turned the skirt around because I don't mind it being a little see-through in the back. But honestly, if I had used a darker color yarn, kind of like this all the way throughout, I don't think it would have been as sheer. You guys could also wear like a little slip or nude underwear. I'm definitely wearing like gray or black right now, but so freaking cute. I like that the stripes don't match up on the side, because then I can kind of like turn it around and have like a little bow in the back above my butt. That's super cute. But yeah, I added another little I-cord just to like the little bandeau section, just kind of help, I don't know, tie the pieces together. I might remove it. I don't know if it's too much or not, but this is what we have at the moment. I'm in love. I cannot believe I made a whole outfit on the knitting machine in one day. I think in total, the top and the skirt and the I-cord took me about 3 to 4 hours, and I was honestly just kind of figuring it out as I went. So hopefully my next project should go a lot smoother. So happy with this outfit. I'm not too sure yet if I'm going to be listing this on my website or if I'll be holding on to it, but y'all are sleeping on the knitting machine if you guys haven't tried it yet. And for anybody who is watching this Just know that it doesn't matter the craft that you do or how you do it. All that matters is that you're being creative and innovative and trying new things. So if you want to get a knitting machine, don't let anybody else tell you that you shouldn't, or that it's wrong, or that it's not the right type of crafting. Forget all of that. Do what you want to do what makes you happy, because I'm happy and I'm obsessed with this outfit. So I'm gonna proceed to take a few photos for Instagram, make a little reel. But yeah, outfit number 1 completed. Love you guys so much. I'll be seeing y'all soon. Also, feel free to let me know down below what other types of videos you guys want me to make, if there's other knitting machine videos and knit with me's and tutorials that you guys would like to see. I'm gonna proceed to wear this throughout my house as if it is the dead of summer, even though it is raining and 50 degrees. Bye!